Capitol Insider will bring you special Vote 2012 coverage in our Week in Review, the week's most important, most talked about political stories with perspective. This week we're talking unemployment. Both sides agree on one thing: Congress needs to focus on jobs, how to create them and keep them in America. But what they can't compromise on is how to do that. While the president campaigns around the country pushing his jobs plan, on the Hill the Senate can't get even the smallest part of the proposal passed. Now in the docket for next week, 2 votes on bipartisan proposals to boost job growth. Analysts say those are likely to pass. Here to discuss the constant bickering about jobs on and off the Hill are, on the right, Kereakos Zuras. He's a former economic advisor to President George W. Bush. On the left, Ryan Clayton, founder of 100 Proof Politics. Kereakos, let's start with you. A new poll from Suffolk University found 49% of people asked think that Republicans are trying to scuttle any plans of making the economy better. They want the White House job, not jobs for Americans. What do you say to that?
I don't think that's true. They're not trying to stall anything. Look, Republicans want job growth. We want people to get back to work. Okay, we're spending $1.5 trillion more than we take in. Obama's proposing infrastructure jobs, which is good, but they're not an immediate fix. They take years to get approval. Okay, so we want more of an immediate fix, and that's what we're pushing for. We're not stalling anything. There's 15 bills that got passed by the House that are sitting that nobody's addressing, and that's not good either. So you got one side going west and the other side going east, and everybody wants what they want. There's got to be a compromise. Infrastructure with lower corporate taxes, getting people back to work, easing of restrictions, and making it where business wants to start hiring people.
Well, that sounds good, and okay, it makes sense if that's the case. But again, you can't. I mean, 49% of the people think that the Republicans are still trying to torpedo all this just so they can the White House. How do you get your message out then if you're a strategist?
Well, you know what? You need to get in the media a little bit more. But we have a media that's slanted to the left mostly, and they get most of the attention to get their message out more, and and that's where the problem is.
Well, the Fox News Channel is pretty gracious.
Well, yeah, that's true. One out of how many?
Well, but they've got a big foot, though.
Sure they do.
Okay. What do you think, Ryan?
Well, I think the good news is that the president has finally manned up and started taking the Republicans at face value. And what the Republicans have essentially said is they are more committed to making him fail than they are to putting America back to work. Look, we've already cut 2 million jobs, public sector jobs, out of our economy in the last 2 years. And the Republicans want to cut 7 million more jobs out of the public sector as well. You know what that's going to do? That's going to suck demand out of our economy. And what we need to be doing is putting demand back in our economy right now and putting Americans back to work so they can go into small businesses, they can go into local stores, and they can actually buy things, because that's what's going to kickstart our economy at the end of the day. But unfortunately, Republicans want to keep cutting, and they're going to send us into the second Great Depression.
We're already in the second Great Depression. We're on the verge of a double-dip recession. Look, here's the deal, okay? I'm in small business. I don't know if you run any small business, but I do. Hundreds of millions of dollars a year, employ a lot of people. Okay, here's the thing. I'm not taking any steps forward, and neither is anybody else I know, because we don't know what the consequences are going to be moving forward. We've got Obamacare coming in 2012. We're going to be forced to offer health insurance for everybody. Margins are being squeezed. Tax rates are going up. I mean, it doesn't work. At some point, businesses like, you know what, we're not going to hire anybody.
And the problem is Republicans, just like you in Congress, aren't willing to take any steps forward and get this economy moving again.
That's not true. We put 15 bills, and nobody's voting on it.
Everybody knows that the Republicans said they're more committed to seeing President Obama not succeed.
True. He's doing a good job of that by himself. He's got a 72% overall disapproval rating.
Look,
he's got a 48%.
Yesterday, the Senate could have put 450,000 Americans back to work, passing the infrastructure bill.
Right, an infrastructure job.
Not to do it. They chose not to do it because of the Republicans.
An infrastructure job that is going to be funded by taxpayers, that are going to be that's paid for by taxpayers, that we don't need. The last time we did a stimulus and we put infrastructure stuff going on, the money went to the state and local.
We don't need jobs building roads.
Yeah, we don't need jobs building bridges.
Three-fourths of Americans.
How long does it take to get? How long does it take to get that approved? It takes 3 years after the
back to work building bridges.
No, they don't. They do not.
Yes, they do. That's the poll.
You know what? Let me tell you something. 92% of the people that were polled said they do not want this job to go back.
Teachers, firefighters, and cops to go back to work.
I want regular Americans also to go back to work. The ones that aren't cops, the ones that aren't teachers. What about everybody else?
And builders.
What about all those roads? built.
and build
It's going to
bridges.
take
We wanna
3
see all of
years
them
to
come
get
back to work.
approval when that money gets.
Most Americans just simply
no,
disagree
they don't.
with you.
That
Let
is
me
not
talk
true.
about one
A
thing.
recent poll, 92% do not want that bill passed. 92%. You're not bringing that up, are you?
Guys, one thing we can agree on, I think, that I was happy to report on the news this week that one major company decided to move its call center from the Philippines back to the U.S. Think of all the because when I call some of the cable companies, I'm getting somebody from the Philippines with a fake American name. Nothing against that, but they can't help me very well. So how many of these job creators are off-sourcing places to the Philippines when they should be coming back? It's a good start, and I think we both agree on that.
I agree.
Let's talk about Herman Cain's issues. Are you surprised that he's still doing so well?
Yes and no. I mean, we talked about that earlier before we came on. I think a lot of this, the sexual harassment news has kind of become a little bit,
People have, not that they expect,
right,
there have been other sacrificial lambs
correct,
in the past.
Yeah. And so it's not as shocking, it's kind of almost become commonplace. I think we kind of expect that during these kind of processes from either, both sides, whether you're Democrat or Republican candidate. I mean, they're going to attack you. So I don't think it's getting the kick that is. And quite frankly, I am a little surprised that it hasn't, dinged them a little bit because he's holding pretty strong right now.
Ryan, something that you mentioned before, and it happened this week in Loudoun County, the Halloween parade, the Republicans out in Loudoun County, out in Leesburg, had this little cartoon to get interest in their Halloween parade, and it showed Obama as a zombie and a bunch of other caricatures of Democrats. It was in poor taste, and even the Republicans have come out saying how stupid this was. And so now the local Republican out there has resigned. Is there any more to this than we should think of? Does this have any legs to it, or is it over with?
Yeah, well, I mean, it's the same case with Herman Cain as it is with Loudoun County. The Tea Party is now owning and operating the Republican Party. The lunatics are in charge of the asylum. And if you look at the Loudoun County Republicans, led by Eugene Delgadio, what they did was they sent out an image in correspondence that showed our president with a bullet hole in his head. That's unacceptable. And I don't know why you think that people like that should be representing the Republican Party, because they definitely should not be representing us in offices of
First of all, I
public
don't
trust.
think people like that should be in it.
Especially not in offices like the office of the United States presidency.
Both sides and find a bad apple everywhere. Okay, but here, look.
So you agree that the Loudoun County Republicans should be made to take that back, and somebody else should be fired, and they should be elected?
I agree.
People like that should not be elected.
I agree that is not in good taste.
Yeah, I think responsible Republicans, anybody else.
I mean, there's bad on both sides. Look, we can go back at the cartoon caricatures and all the things that everybody talked about George Bush. Okay, I mean, and that was coming directly from that side. So,
yeah, well, I'm not dismissive of people sending out pictures of the president with bullet holes in their head, just like I'm not dismissive of sexual harassment, which is pretty much the stance you took.
No, it's not. It's unsubstantiated. This is an unprecedented attack against anyone with unsubstantiated claims. No one's come forward, and guess what? It's not working.
Guys,
okay?
nice to have you with us on Cap Insider. Kereakos Zuras and Ryan Clayton. Temperatures come up in the studio, but it's good to get all of this out on the table. Appreciate it.